Hello, hello, hello. Hi, divas, and to all the dudes that love us. I am Famira, the Diamond Diva, your visual impactologist, and I help women entrepreneurs who are multi-talented, multi-gifted, and multifaceted take all of who they are and brand it in such a way that allows them to show up and stand out to get their message across in order to create the world impact that they desire. So I am here today to talk to you just a little bit about the 5 things your brand can learn from Beyonce's Lemonade. Yes, so I wrote an amazing Huffington Post article right after the video came out. It was so funny because while I was watching the visual album, immediately these different things started coming to my mind, and I had to actually keep myself still and quiet to make it all the way through the album. Before I could put these things to paper and really get them out. But I want to share them with you here today on this video so that you can get a better understanding, even for me, on what it is that I really was trying to say in this article. Because, a lot of times with articles, you only have a certain amount of space, right? So the very first thing that we can learn from Beyonce's visual album, Lemonade, is dare to be different, right? And so what do I mean by that? It means that you really cannot keep yourself in a box. So no, visual albums aren't new. This isn't even Beyonce's first visual album. However, this is not something that musical artists are just readily doing, right? So she's definitely in probably the top 5% tile of artists that have actually created a visual album, right? Don't quote me on the stats. I'm just saying from my experience of what I've seen, I'm guesstimating that's roughly what it is. But it's just not an everyday occurrence, right? It's just not something that people are just always doing, or that they're doing to the caliber in which she did it to get the recognition that she got for doing it. So as an entrepreneur, you have to do the very same thing. You have to dare to be different. You have to not only be outside the box, but realize that there is no box. There is no box. Stop allowing yourself to be held hostage to a box that you've either created for yourself or that you've allowed others to create for you when they don't even know what the vision that God has placed inside you. So you want to make sure that you are daring to be different, because being different is what makes you stand out. It is the presentation of that differentness and your uniqueness that makes you special, and that's what draws those people that have been born and destined to work with you to you. So don't run from it. Embrace it. Embrace your uniqueness. The second thing that your brand can learn from Beyonce's Lemonade is don't be afraid to be vulnerable. So I'm not really here to discuss whether or not the storyline of the visual album is true or not. If it was just a made up situation in order to put forth this album, whether or not she's just simply able to connect with the fact that this is a lot of women's story. But the point of the matter is that in the visual album, you see the emotion, right? So whether she's being an excellent actress or she's really tapped into things in her own life, it still is a vulnerable thing to allow yourself to show that level of emotion that was shown in this visual album. And so one of the things that was very interesting to me, that no matter who I was reading on social media, whether Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, when they were talking about the album, whether they liked it or not, they hate Beyonce, love Beyonce, there were some words that were always being used, and those were raw, emotional, artistic, strength, pain, forgiveness. So she was really able to be vulnerable enough to open up and to show all of these different emotions, to the point of, regardless of what people think of her, they recognize that within the body of work, right? And so us as entrepreneurs, we have to be brave enough and courageous enough to be vulnerable as well, because ultimately people connect with your story. People want to know that you're relatable. They want to know that you get them. So no matter what industry you're in, whether you are working to solve a pain in a bad way, you know, a heart-wrenching pain, solving that for people, or if you're just there to increase the pleasure, you know, aspect of it, and get people to enjoy life more and do more with their lives. Either way, there's something about your story that got you started to do what you do, right? Whether it's your own personal story or it's the story of someone else that you saw, but it was something that got you to do what you're doing, right? That is the part that I mean that you need to be vulnerable with and share that with people. Get people to understand why you do what you do, why you love the clients and customers that you work with, and why they should take their time, spend their money, trust you with whatever it is that you do. Be vulnerable enough to share that. That doesn't mean that you just go out, you know, regurgitating the story all the time. There is an art to it, but you want to make sure that you're opening up and being vulnerable. The third thing is what Beyonce is like, I mean, she's the guru of this, right? Is give your audience what they want, right? So if Bey, for Beyonce, if B don't know nobody else, she know that beehive, right? She knows what they want and she taps into that, you know. So there's so many speculations on why she gets the type of response she gets. And so, you know, whether it doesn't really matter at the end of the day what the speculation is, I'm going to tell you what the root of it is, right? The root, the root of it is because she gives them what they want, not what she wants them to have, not what she thinks they want, not what she, you know, just decided to put together, but she's really in tune with her fans, and that's very apparent too by her social media. Even though she's private, like you can tell that somebody is reading the comments and the different things that her fans have to say, because she keeps giving them exactly what they want, right? She keeps giving them exactly what they respond to. They like the surprises, they like the hype, they like, I mean, they like the big grandioseness of it. They love the good music, they love the imagery, and she's giving them all of that in this album, with this visual album. And so you have to ask yourself, how in tune are you with your audience, right? Are you really giving them what they want, or are you giving them what you want them to have? Because ultimately, I always tell my clients and anyone that here has heard me speak, you have to give people what they want and slide in what they need, right? As the expert, is your job to package it in a way that people say, oh my gosh, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I needed. This is what I wanted. And whether they really realize what they really need, because a lot of times as an expert on the outside looking in, we see more of what people need than they do. You have to just be able to slide in what they need into your program, services, products, but you have to give them what they want, because that's what they pay for. And so this is why building your mailing list is so important, because you really need to be able to take these conversations off of social media so that you're able to really nurture the people in your community, so that you can get in tune with what do they really want, and you're able to tap into their desires as well as their needs. So the fourth reason why your brand should be taking notes and paying attention from Beyonce's Lemonade is the fact of let your genius and gift speak for itself, right? So after the album has came out, Beyonce hasn't done any interviews. She haven't had no whole bunch of stuff to say on social media. She went right back to being her private self, living her life and doing her thing. But her gift has all of us talking about it, right? Her genius has all of us talking about it. Regardless of what end of the spectrum that you're on, you're still talking about it, right? And so you can't deny her gift, right? So even when people are saying negative things about her and her beliefs and whatever, or I should say their speculations of her beliefs, because she's never really spoken publicly on a lot of things, you can't deny her gift, right? she flawlessly executes everything she does. Like, it's amazing, right? And so it's not about the hype, though. The whole thing is that at the end of the day, if the consensus of everyone was that this album was garbage, it wouldn't matter the hype and the surprise and what some people may consider the gimmick around it. I consider it the presentation of it. If the quality and the value of it was not good, it wouldn't matter. So because you can only play up the gimmick, you can only play up the presentation, you can only play up that aspect of it for so long if the value is not attached to it. People will find you out. People will get tired of it. People come back and continue to be a part of the beehive because she does give the value, right? There is substance to what she puts out. You can tell, you can see the hard work that she puts into what she does. These are not no fly by night videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is her really methodically thinking this out, creating the story that went from one song to the next, to the next, to the next. In this entire visual album, you could see the work, you could see the value, you could see what she put in. So you have to do the same thing. You have to make sure that you're putting the value in, that you're doing the work on your side, and then allow your genius and your gift to speak for itself. You don't have to entertain the doubters. You don't have to entertain the haters. You don't have to entertain anyone. Just do what you're called to do and be here for your clients and your customers and let it speak for itself, right? So the fifth and last thing that I wanted to leave with you on today in regards to the 5 things that your brand should be taking heed on Beyonce's Lemonade. And that is to think of a master plan and keep it to yourself. I know. You're like, Mara, what? Keep it to myself? Do you know this idea is so awesome? Trust me, I understand. As an entrepreneur, it's very hard for us especially as a creative, if you're a creative, it's very hard for us to keep our ideas to ourselves. 1, because we get tons of them. 2, because we're like, this is it. This is so good. I love the way this idea is even making me feel. And I want to show from the rooftops this idea. So we can't always do that though, right? Sometimes you need to be methodical and strategic and plan in the shadows, plan in the background, be quiet, have people sign them the non-disclosure agreements, because that's one thing we could definitely learn from Beyonce. This is not her first time doing a surprise release and getting phenomenal response from it. But if you really look at it, what I want you to really understand, she created a 11 song, well, really 12 songs if you count Formation, 12 song album, visual album, that she had to write the songs, produce the music, choreograph, come up with the concept for each individual video. That's 12. All of these things times 12. Each video, actually produce the video, actually do it. Not to mention how many, how many times she maybe had to like even go through rehearsals and all those things before they actually shot the actual video, right? Because they had to practice it and get it down. She probably used some of her standard dancers, but you never know. Does she have to hold, any type of, well, I can't think of the word right now. But not rehearsals, but auditions. Yeah. Not to mention that she had to hold any auditions. But all the people, just think about all the people that were involved in this, right? From the engineers to the stage help, to the director, to the cameraman, to the janitors, to the dancers, to delivery people, like all these different things, and it didn't leak. We get one idea and the world knows, right? And so a part of why, though, she's been so amazingly successful with her launches is because she has been able to keep them quiet. So then when it comes out, it's like, boom, here it is. And it's all strategically thought out, from the fact that she had it on HBO to the fact that if you was actually watching the HBO special when it originally aired, as each song hit, the video and the Facebook page for the song actually went up as well. So, this magnitude of the response and the explosiveness of this project could not have happened had a bunch of people known, right? And so we must learn how to do that as well. And that we have to learn that sometimes you have to have discretion. Sometimes you have to only tell that one person that's in your secret inner circle, that's part of the inner sanctum. Because at the end of the day, the proof is in the execution, not in the conversation. So a lot of times we build up the hype of the idea because we're excited, and then something doesn't go accordingly, or we decide to change midstream, but people are looking for it and people are expecting it because we have talked about it and we have talked it up. And then now you lose a level of credibility. So sometimes you just need to keep it to yourself and not turn up so much. So just as a quick recap, the 5 things your brand should learn from Beyonce's Lemonade is: 1, dare to be different. 2, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. 3, give the audience what they want. 4, let your genius and gift speak for itself. And 5, think of a master plan and keep it to yourself. So I hope this has been beneficial to you, and that you will be able to take these 5 steps and apply them in your business. See where you can tighten up things. See where you can really allow your gift to speak more for you. See where you can be more vulnerable. Where have you been conforming where you really should have been different? If you do these things and really be honest with yourself, and start implementing some of these things, just watch and see how things change. Watch and see the new level of people that are now attracted to the more authentic, more credible you. And so, again, I am Famira, the Diamond Diva, your visual impactologist, and I thank you for listening.